Yeah, I mean, this year I pretty much just put a few marks on the calendar. Like, I want to be here, I want to race this race, and then the middle part of how I get there and what I do in between, that's kind of been guided by what seems to be the most fun, what's the most intriguing for me to do. But then we built this one that was like just a 100-foot gapped out double with you come off a downhill to do it on a KX80. I was like 11, and I jumped it, and then he's like, my dad was negotiating with him, like, hey, you gonna put him on the cover for jumping this? Yeah. The guy's like, well, if you put that school bus over there underneath it and he jumps that school bus, then we'll talk.
We are out here in Josh Hill's RV. We are waiting for our main events to start here at the Cooper Steel Arena in Shelbyville, Tennessee. But there have been some things that I just want to ask, in a chill moment, just want to kind of sit down. And obviously you're a Mountain Motorsports athlete, and you rep the company well. It's on your bike, it's on your gear. You're at our events, you let us come out to your events. Why have you been this invested in Mountain Motorsports specifically?
Mountain Motorsports just seems to like all the stuff that I like to do. I like riding pretty much all forms of two wheels, and Mountain Motorsports seems to be involved in all of it. Sends you guys out here. I like riding pit bikes. You guys just surprised me with a pit bike, and I'm just ecstatic about that. Got Surons, Yamahas. I mean, everything that I want to ride.
Have Starks.
Yeah, you guys have everything that I want to ride in stock, and dealerships everywhere, and yeah, it's just been an awesome thing for me to get involved with Mountain Motorsports.
Sick. Well, we love having you out here. And you're welcome for coming out here. It's kind of it's not very fun for me, but
I think you're learning. You're starting to get there.
No, yeah, we love coming out here to these, and I get to learn new things, and I get to, take my baby steps to be Josh Hill, so I'll take it any day.
You were going for the gold on the finish line that first
I
photo.
mean, I saw you out there. I was like, he's watching. I gotta do something. I gotta make a statement.
I don't think that person was in your class, but
he wasn't.
You were still going for it either way.
I feel like that's what you would have done.
Maybe, I don't know. I might have just took my losses, but you sent it for the finish line.
Well, I'm trying to be a step above, I guess.
Blew your carb off.
I did blow my carb off, and you went full mechanic mode. So you had a mechanic when you were racing Supercross full time and stuff, and you don't anymore?
I've been racing this last few times. It's been pretty, just been showing up and racing.
Yeah.
Like, I know how to upkeep a bike enough to make it run. Luckily, those Yamahas are pretty nice. They don't require a ton of stuff to them. So I've just been riding this one. It's stock, it's just got good suspension and handlebars and pipe. But normally, I've been spoiled most of my life with having awesome mechanics, and as you get slower, people don't like to work on your stuff as much, so I had to figure out how to do a little bit.
Well, I'm spoiled to have you to come fix my bike, so.
Your factory already.
Exactly.
You skipped a step.
Look at me. Now you're so involved in the Mountain Motorsports scene. We're here at things with you, and you come to things with us and whatever. But how'd you get started with us? Like, how does Josh Hill get started with Mountain Motorsports?
Well, the first time I ever went to Mountain Motorsports was probably like 2010, I want to say, and like they used to always host all the dealer signings whenever we'd come to Atlanta for Supercross. So we drive out to Mountain Motorsports, and a lot of times, you go to these dealerships. It's kind of small. You get all these pro riders in, but it's a little bit like unorganized sometimes, and not a whole lot going on. And every time we go to Mountain, it's like they have food catered. Like every top rider was there. Everybody was just kind of happy to be there. It was just always a fun environment. And then, I've seen them get involved with other riders along the way. And when I moved out to the East Coast, I was, I had worked at dealerships and stuff on the West Coast. But when I moved out to North Carolina, I started just, trying to figure out where I was going to get, find bikes, find parts, or, a place that could facilitate all the needs that I have.
Yeah.
And, got a hold of the guys at Mountain, got a hold of Justin, and, it's been...
We were the lucky ones that snagged him.
I've felt pretty lucky the whole time. You guys have taken great care of me, and everything I need, I can always just make a phone call.
You grew up riding, right?
Yeah.
And you just taught a class yesterday with a bunch of kids, and you've taught me, and I'm not a kid, but I kind of look like one, and I ride like one. So, you teach kids, you're around kids, and you've been riding since you were a kid. What are some pieces of advice that you could even just give your younger self?
it just depends on where you're at, what you're trying to do. Me, I started riding when I was 3. I mean, some of my first memories, probably my first memories, are riding motorcycles, and I wouldn't change anything about it. I love riding. I still get just as excited to ride now at 34 as I did when I was a little kid. So it just depends on where you're at, what you want to do. For me, I just always loved riding. Racing was cool too. Racing is how I was able to gain sponsors and get people to support what I wanted to do. But I always just loved riding everything. If it was racing, if it was pit bikes, bicycles, anything, it was 2 wheels, and I had fun. So I don't think much has changed now. If you're a young kid, it just depends on what your goals are. There's all kinds of avenues now for people to chase their dreams. If you want to do freestyle, you want to do free riding, you want to race, there's options out there, and it's cool. Because when I was growing up, racing was kind of like your only option to get seen.
Yeah, that's one of the many things that I've learned from you, is that you just love what you do, and you kind of do whatever you are loving at the moment. That if you want to race, you go race. If you want to go send a crazy jump in the middle of nowhere, you do that. If you want to come ride arena cross and teach a class, you do that. And you just love what you do, and that's how you've made it this far.
Yeah, I mean, this year I pretty much just put a few marks on the calendar. Like, I want to be here, I want to race this race, and then the middle part of how I get there and what I do in between, that's kind of been guided by what seems to be the most fun, what's the most intriguing for me to do. So that's kind of how this started. I got the motorhome, we pinned it out to California, and decided last second, well, I'm here, I might as well just race Anaheim. And then in between then, I pretty much was just free riding and showing up and racing on the weekends. And I didn't have my best results, but
did you have fun?
I had a good time. And I wasn't really planning on racing until Daytona, so now I feel like I have a little bit of a jump start on knowing exactly what I need to do to try to have some better results towards the end of the series.
Yeah. So we're both racing today, different classes, but we're both racing. So we're both sitting here in our gear. What gear you seem to kind of wear the same brands usually. What's kind of your ideal gear and why? Like, what are all the parts that you absolutely have to have? Like, you wouldn't ride without it.
Oh, I mean, a helmet first. I mean, you got to ride in a helmet. That's a good one, right?
That's a good one.
Helmet and boots. Those are your two, big ones. Like, those will save you big time.
Do you have favorites? Do you stick with a certain brand or?
Yeah, I'm always in Fox. I mean, I love Fox. Like, Fox was the coolest stuff that you could get my whole childhood.
Yeah.
Even to this day, I don't think that there's a better gear company out there than Fox. And
I'm in it, and they don't send me anything.
I just love Fox gear. I think it started out as it was just that cool factor. They had the Terra Firma movies back in the days. They had Jeremy McGrath, and then they started Shift, and they had Emig and Seth Enslow and Mike Sinkmars and all the I guess the edgier side of the sport, and James Stewart, Carmichael. I mean, everybody that was gnarly and cool was in Fox. So I always wanted to ride in Fox, and luckily I was able to. I rode in Shift pretty much my whole amateur career, and then I think my third or fourth year of pros, I got to get back into the Fox family, and I pretty much haven't left.
Yeah, we sell a lot of brands of gear at our dealerships, but Fox is definitely very front-facing at most of them. I mean, I don't want to call anybody out, but our filmer actually has a Fox tattoo. It's pretty sick.
Nice.
He was a big fan back in the day, too, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, Fox is the first kit I ever had, and we went riding a couple weeks ago, and I wore that Fox kit that was the first kit I ever wore. So Fox, they do it. They are gnarly. They are kind of edgier.
And they're just always trying to make better gear, stuff that lasts, stuff that's light, comfortable to wear, all different, weather. Well, if you want to go off-road riding, it's going to be a cold day, they got something for you. And it's cool, too, now that they're getting so involved in mountain biking. Like, that's the other thing that I really love doing is mountain biking, and they have, I think, the best gear in that, too. And some of it crosses over. Like, they make some cold weather mountain bike gloves that are game-changing on a cold day for moto, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was even wearing them racing snow bikes. So they got a little bit of everything, and I'm happy to wear Fox. I wouldn't probably be that happy wearing anything else at the moment. But another thing you got to, take into account is knee protection.
Oh,
what do we got going on
here? Yeah.
When you start, it's not, I think it's always important, but you got to think, you want to have a little bit of protection. If you were to slip your foot peg, your bike falls on you, something like that. I don't wear knee braces. I wear knee pads. But any sort of protection on your knees, I think, is one thing that some people forget about. But
some people, I can't imagine forgetting about that and then having a big fat bruise on your knee.
I mean, I got a pair you can borrow if you need.
I mean, I feel like maybe I'm committed now, but I feel like if I'm smart, I might take you up on that one.
Yeah.
I've been looking at some, but I'm like, I can't decide.
Yeah.
I was gonna get Axel Hodges's, but I was like, purple's not really my color. I don't know. So right now, this season, you're doing a little bit of everything. I mean, you're here at Arena Cross. You've been racing some Supercross, and then doing all that you do in between. You've been all over the place, and that's in this RV.
Yeah. That's kind of why I wanted to get something like this. It's got a little garage in the back, so I can put all my bikes, everything I need. I can kind of just be self-sufficient in here, and then me and my wife Molly can just kind of go cruise in America and have try to hit some fun things along the way. And I think a lot of the fun things that I want to do end up taking precedence sometimes, so I got to make some time for both. But I end up in places in the desert that aren't the most picturesque to her, but to me they are.
It's about balance.
Yeah, but we've been all over riding out in the desert, riding out in the hills in California. We stopped in Texas. Like, there's these guys, Madden Moto Playground. They've got a full artificial turf track, which is on a pit bike and on like slower bikes. It is the coolest thing because there's like no drag, perfect traction, no dust. The track never gets rough. It's like just a whole new way of riding, I guess. So I mean, it was cool. I just try to plan out stuff along the way. So we're on our way back from California to where we live in North Carolina. And so we stop in Phoenix and race, stop in Texas, check that out, come here to Shelbyville, Tennessee, race this Arena Cross, did a riding school, and then after this is done, we'll mosey our way on home and then get ready for Daytona Supercross. And then I'm actually going to race a downhill mountain bike event coming up I think it's the first weekend of April. So I'm going to be training for Supercross and then doing some downhill mountain bike training. I've never raced
a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Never raced downhill mountain bikes, but I got a new Santa Cruz getting built up, V10, and I'm gonna see if I'm as good as I feel like I am some days. Some days I get in the flow and think like, oh, I'm good at this, and I have a feeling I'm gonna get a reality check, but I'm excited for it.
Okay, this was my reality check. We all need one.
Yeah, gotta test yourself every once in a while.
You sure do.
Yeah.
That is great. I mean, I hear that's what all the cool kids are doing, Supercross and downhill mountain bike races, same week. It's all like a warm-up, cool-down of each other.
I mean, it's just stuff I love doing.
Yeah.
North Carolina's got some of the best mountain biking around, and there's a lot of just rad riders out there that I think motivate me to do more cool stuff. Like got Luca and Walker Shaw are out there, Nico Mullally, Dakota Norton. They're all out in my neck of the woods, and Aaron Gwynn. So all the top like U.S. downhill mountain bike guys all live within about 3 hours of me.
That's awesome. 2
to 3. So they ride dirt bikes. I love mountain bikes. It's kind of cool because I think we kind of just feed off each other and learn some stuff. So it's really fun.
No, that's sick. So you just mentioned some, but like you've been in the game for a while and you've made it in so many areas, and you've made such an impact in so many areas, and you've met so many people. Who are some of the people that you like can't believe that you know or that you can call your friend? Like, is there anybody that you grew up a fan of and now you're buddies with them?
I mean, all the guys that I raced coming up, like Chad and James and all those guys, like I was 12, 13, 14 years old watching those guys at the pinnacle of the sport. And, I remember meeting Chad at the test track when I was like 12 years old and just starstruck by him. And then, fast forward like 4 years later and we're battling for, podiums in 450 Supercross. So, I guess I've been doing it for 16 years now, and maybe more than that, 18 years as a pro. So I guess all that stuff, you kind of forget that these people were your childhood heroes. Yeah. That now I just get to hang out with them as peers, I guess.
Now you're at Christmas parties with Chad.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy how those things work. One of the things that makes Josh Hill is your crazy sentence all the time. You do jumps that no one else does. You do hills no one else does. I mean, you even just do general sports that no one else does. But like, how do you do that? How do you send things that like no one else like would even think about sending? Some of these massive jumps you're doing at like Red Bull Imagination or even Big Hill Jam and stuff. Like, what goes through your mind when you're coming up to a massive jump like that?
I think it all just stems from my upbringing. Like my dad, I'd go and I'd race races, and I got good at racing. I was winning a lot of stuff on the amateur scene, and then Mini Warriors. It was like a series that came out, kind of like a Terra Firma back in the day, but it was geared towards amateur kids coming up. It was like me and James Stewart and Michael Essie and Davey Millsaps and guys like that were that age group. And they showed up to my house, and my dad just lipped all the jumps up and started making all this crazy stuff. I mean, it was all things that I could do. And, he's like, "Yeah, they're coming in 2 weeks. We got to get this, we got to hit these jumps." And then we built this one that was like just 100-foot gapped out double you come off a downhill to do it on a KX80. I was like 11. And I jumped it, and then he's like, my dad was negotiating with him, like, "Hey, is you going to put him on the cover for jumping this?" Yeah. The guy's like, "Well, if you put that school bus over there underneath it and he jumps that school bus, then we'll talk." My dad's like, "All right," and just goes and just gets this old school bus and parks it in the middle of this double.
No need to ask you.
He asked me. He's like, "Hey,"
do it.
He's like, "You got that? It's the same thing. Just jump it. It's the same as you did before." That's the type of stuff that was going on when I was 11. So that was just what we did. We raced, and we did our practice laps, and we trained. And then me and my dad, because he was a really good rider too, we'd go out and just try to find new jumps and transfers. We'd start doing tricks and everything. Like, we all thought we were freestyle riders, because freestyle wasn't really that elevated at that time. So we were taking all our hands off and stuff. Yeah.
I mean,
it progressed very quickly, and I didn't keep up with that. But it was fun. So now that I'm older, I've just kind of had that mindset my whole life. Just I liked going out, finding big jumps. After I was done doing my laps, I like to play ride and go just do things that would give me enjoyment on my bike. Yeah. And I think a lot of times, like, scaring myself and doing something that at first glance doesn't really seem doable. Yeah. That's fun to me. So I've just never really stopped doing that. And then you're having all these big injuries, and coming back, you're almost like, okay, I got to test myself and make sure I can still do what I want to do. Yeah. And then now just doing a lot of video production stuff. You're always just trying to find a way to do something new and different that looks great. Just getting that shock value, I guess.
I mean, you do that. You probably think it's funny then when we go out to the track and I'm like, "Could you hit that triple?" I'm like, "No one could hit that triple." And you're like, "I jumped over a school bus when I was 11. Hold my beer." Yeah,
it's just been a slow progression. It's not like one day I just decided I'm going to go just launch my bike as far and big as I can. It's just slow progression. I mean, I started out as a squid little kid like everybody else, and I think just my love for riding and just wanting to master it is what led me to my life on two wheels.
So, do you feel like the guts came before the skill and then the skill followed, or do you feel like the skill needed to be there to have the guts?
No, I'm telling you, I was kind of a wimp when I was little, but I mean, I was like 3-4 years old, and then my skill level increased from my dad. My dad, I think, just thought it was fun. I've heard him refer to it like it was like playing a video game. He could tell me how to do everything, and if I listened to him, and I always listened to my dad. I respected him and trusted his judgment. He didn't want to see me hurt, and he was really smart with how to ride two wheels and what was possible and what wasn't. And he'd coach me over stuff, and then, like I said, you just keep raising the bar and just keep raising the bar until, eventually you're the one moving the bar past what people think is possible at times.
Yeah. So this one's not personal at all. This is objective, fully objective. But like, what would you say about like somebody who has the guts, doesn't quite have the skill? Where would you draw that line? Or like, where would you generally start to draw a line of like, maybe don't try that? Because I've learned to listen to you on that one after my little moment yesterday. But where would you say it's fine to crash, and where would you say probably shouldn't try that?
This is kind of a cheesy saying, but it's not if, it's when you're going to, have an issue.
Right.
We're out here, we're testing the limits. You can be perfect, and occasionally the bike, you forgot to look something over and something's loose, and just things happen. Dirt bikes are inherently dangerous, but as far as having too much guts versus skill, I don't know. That's, if you're having fun and you're on a good luck streak, it might keep working for you until the skill catches up, or occasionally it'll catch up. The having too much guts will bite you before you know it. But hopefully you're wearing your protective gear, you got your knee pads on, and
I'll
everything's...
have those on next time for sure.
Everything's good. Yeah, I mean, she wanted to jump some doubles yesterday, and to be honest, this is not the most forgiving arena cross I've ever seen. This is probably it's not full on pro, but it's closer to pro than most amateur guys will get a ride on, and girls will get a ride on. And she's wanting to jump doubles, and I think I expressed my feelings on maybe she should wait.
I was being egged on. I was being peer pressured by people that were not peers.
Making bets on,
I was making bets. And you
so
know what?
You got to step up.
It was worth it, because if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. So I had to be tough, because I had already committed to being dumb.
You rolled out of it just fine, but I'm glad that you came up as short as you did.
Yeah.
Because that kind of slowed your roll a little bit. I
hate
think.
to say it, but me too. I wish I could say I was closer, but I think it's a good thing I wasn't.
You'll get there. Just take it easy, step by step, and get you hitting big tabletops. Then go to a double that you can case, and just there's ways to learn how to do it safely. Luckily, like I was saying, my dad, he never wanted to see me crash and get hurt, and I think that's probably having somebody watching out for me and keeping me within my boundaries is what helped me grow my confidence in jumping and all that kind of thing. I mean, we'd go out in the backyard and learn how to case stuff correctly.
Yeah.
He wanted me prepared for everything that would get thrown at me. So just take time. I'm 31 years experience on motorcycles. Didn't just happen
I'm
overnight.
going on 3, so I'm getting there. I'm just stoked to have you to learn from, and I mean, to have everyone to learn from that now, with all this, with all your videos and other guys that do videos like yours, it's so much easier to learn.
There's a lot more good and bad examples than there was, when I was growing up. We got the videos like the Terra Firmas, the Crusty Demons, that showed you all the cool stuff. Then we had the thrill spills and chills that showed you how not to do it. So that now with the internet, you pretty much can see what's going on in live time. If your buddy went for a jump and his bike wasn't fast enough, you might second guess it when you show up to the track.
So to wrap it up, motocross is not all of life, but it's a big part of a good one. And it's been a big part of your life for a long time. And you've made a living out of it. It's more than just a hobby for you. What's something that you've learned from motocross that's applied to other areas of your life?
Anything that you want to succeed in, it's going to take just a ton of time, a ton of work. It doesn't always go exactly how you want it to, but if you like it and want it bad enough, it teaches you to keep going at it. There, you meet so many good people around dirt bike tracks. For the most part, it's a pretty great family environment. Meet a lot of people along the way that are trying to do the exact same thing you are, and you just grow lifelong bonds from being at the track. I think that's probably, just being around this family has definitely helped me as a person, just grow as a person.
Well, thank you for talking with us. This has been awesome. Best of luck today. I expect to see some big sends, some safe sends, and some good knee pads.
Same for you. I expect some sends out there. You warmed up first, Moto. Now the second one, you don't need to jump any doubles, but we can jump out on stuff. Well, go get it. First race.
Right
Good
back
luck.
at ya. Cheers.
Cheers.